Welcome to Muse Mode, where we talk about the art of living and creating a life that feels like your own masterpiece. This series was kind of like already in the works, and then the day before I was filming this last night, I saw a tweet and it says, "Life feels fuller when you're your own muse," and that's from at Year of the Poets. And I just thought it was funny to see this because here I was starting this series called Muse Mode, and it's really just about being your own muse and getting inspired to create the life that you really want to create. And I wanted to really use this first episode to talk about why it's important to be your own muse. I think it's important to be our own muse because every day, especially if you're on social media, there are so many things that are always being put in front of our face constantly. Ads, other people's contents, just stuff that they have or things that they're doing. And it can be overwhelming. But if you are your own muse and you're in tune with your intuition, your desires, and who you are, then you're not shaken up as much by all the things that you've seen and getting like shiny object syndrome. And because we see so much every day, if you're getting inspired to create something every second from every single thing you'll see, you'll be burnt out and you probably won't be aligned with what you really are truly meant to create and do here. And it can be really exhausting and tiring and boring to create something that somebody else was supposed to create. So by being your own muse, you're inspiring yourself and creating from a place of power and in confidence because you know that this is really something that actually matters and is aligned with you and your desires and what you want to experience without shame. So what is Muse Mode? Muse Mode is being your own inspiration, being the creator and the creative inspiration for creating the life that you want to have, and the experiences that you want to have, and knowing that you are living your life you want to by releasing shame, taking action on your desires, and knowing who you are. That's really important, knowing who you are. And I feel like this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I just didn't quite know how, but I think it might be the new Pluto and Aquarius energy. But I finally feel like I'm putting all the pieces together to really talk about this because this is literally something I've been thinking about for over a year and a half is how was I able to create the life that I want? And of course, there's still things that I still want to experience and do and have in my life, but there's still more seasons for that. And obviously, I don't want everything to happen all in once in one day. Otherwise, how could I really enjoy it? So by figuring out how to create the life that I want, being my own muse, I knew that I wanted to change my lifestyle, which meant that I didn't want to have a 9 to 5 anymore. Nothing wrong with them, but I'm just not cut out for it. I knew that I wanted to be able to wake up whenever I want. I wanted to be able to go to Pilates in the middle of the day and then go grab lunch with my girls or have a coffee date, which I do. I wanted to do public speaking. I wanted to be going to galas. I wanted to go to grand openings. All of those things I do now. And that was not my reality at all 4 years ago. And when I was thinking about that, I was like, dang, 4 years ago, that sounds like a while ago. But for my lifestyle to be basically exactly what I wanted to be in 4 years, I think that's pretty good. And one thing that we're going to talk about later is the time it can take to, first of all, knowing who you are, releasing the shame around who you are, and then taking the proper aligned action that makes sense for what actually excites you and you desire to experience. So the first step to being your own muse is self-awareness, knowing who you are. And that's something that took me a little time to figure out. I come from a background of people pleasing and just not feeling confident to be interested in the things that I was interested in or explore my interest the way that I think I could have. And there was a lot of shame around those interests in who I thought I was or thought I could be. And so it was very hard for me to therefore take action on who I saw myself as and what I saw my life looking like. For example, I always would hear that like artists never make any money, like artists are always broke. So me wanting to be an artist, me wanting to be creative, I felt shame there because I thought that there was no way that I could be successful and make money from that. Which is also one of the parts of my lifestyle that I wanted to, in this lifestyle I wanted to create, was that I could be able to make money off of my creations and just being myself. And I do. So yes, number one, self-awareness. You have to know who you are and you have to accept who you are. So I have a list of questions that I'm going to put up here to help get you thinking about who you are if you're not sure. And it's okay if you don't. That means you get to go on a little discovery journey. I had a discovery journey and it was fun. There was ups and downs, but it was like solving the puzzle of yourself, basically, is how I would describe it. It was kind of cute. So look at these questions. I would say the most important ones are definitely thinking about what is your story from right now? Like, who are you today? What's your story right now? Even though you may want it to be different, but if you had to write a biography of yourself, who are you right now? And then thinking about your passions, your skills, your talents, and to me, most important, your values. What matters to you more than money? And that's really going to tell you where that unlimited potential is, because when it's not tied to money, we often have very limited views of money on how we can receive it, how we can experience it, how we can spend it, and a lot of shame around that. But if we shift into thinking about what we just enjoy or what we value outside of money, meaning there's no limit, it's abundant. We can never run out of it, just like you can never run out of creativity, right? Because it comes from source. It's not us. We are a channel. Think about your values in the same way. And that is why I think when they say that when you really love something, you never work a day in your life. And when you do something from a place of what you believe in and what you stand for, it's so much more power and energy and passion behind that. And thinking about like what activities bring you joy, what activities bring you excitement. And if you're thinking like, I don't really know what excites me, I don't really know, then you need to get some creative hobbies, whether it's painting, knitting, a wood shop class, a photography class, a videography class, movie making class, like something, some type of creative hobby. And I think an active hobby is also good to have. But I also really recommend having like a creative outlet, because in order to express ourselves, you have to have a self to express. So if you don't know who you are, how can you genuinely create the reality that you want to experience or create the life that you want to have if you don't even have a self to express? You don't even know. So that's why I think that's why I think a creative outlet is good, because you're gonna start seeing bits and pieces of who you are through what you create in that class. Like you might find out that you like things very perfect, or you might find out that you like checkerboard patterns, or you might find out that you really love the color green, or like you might find out that you're very inspired by wood in your whatever you're creating, or birds, and that tells you something about who you are. So it's all about unlocking these little pieces. You almost want to think about it as like a video game of like figuring out who you are so that you can then express yourself in that highest version. And by highest, I don't mean anything like, but just in the sense of from pure love and excitement and joy. Now, I know some other people will say that they feel like, I don't want to do anything. Like, that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about sleeping. I'm passionate about going to bed. Then that tells me that you're burnt out and your nervous system is dysregulated, and that needs to be your basic focus. So if you feel like you don't really want to do anything, it doesn't mean that you are actually purposeless, or you have no talents or no skills, or nothing matters to you. It just means that you are burnt out. And so if that's you, I'd recommend taking up a creative hobby, just one, because you probably don't have the time already if you're already burnt out, and focus on getting 8 hours of sleep every night. And then lastly, do some research on regulated nervous systems. And give that about 6 months, and you'll start noticing some things that you like and you enjoy and you do want to pour yourself into. But that's the most important. Getting sleep, take up just one creative hobby, one creative outlet. And maybe that one is at home, just because you want to prioritize getting rest. And then look up tips, just general knowledge on how to have a more regulated nervous system. Because right now you're in kind of like that freeze state. Your body doesn't know what it wants or anything like that besides rest. And even thinking about in my journey, when I quit my corporate job, it did take me about 6 months, maybe a little longer, to kind of have that moment where my nervous system could regulate. And I had to learn a lot of things around emotional regulation, nervous system regulation, who I was, and also start releasing a lot of the shame and figuring out what I really wanted. Because I started creating content, that was like my creative outlet. And that really helped to unfold everything else for me to start creating the life that I wanted. And then after that, the next thing was self-acceptance. Yes, now we have to accept ourselves exactly as we are right now. You have to accept the good, the bad, and the ugly. I would say make a list of everything that you do not like about yourself and really sit with that list. And then think about how all those things on that list served you at one point or time in your life. Because there's a reason why you do it. There's a reason why that's a trait or characteristic of you or something in your personality, because at one point in time it kept you safe. Probably it helped you, it was advantageous, but now it no longer is. And because you're trying to become somebody else. When you're moving out of survival mode into thriving, there's a lot of habits that we used to have that just don't serve us anymore. Like when you think about the movie Tarzan, right? A lot of the ways that he acted was like, because he was kind of in survival mode. Like, I mean, he was having fun with the monkeys and stuff, but he lived in a jungle. So his mindset was just different than it would be for a human that just lives in a city, because they're just in two different environments. And some of the traits and the habits that are advantageous to living in a jungle with monkeys is going to be different than some of the traits that would be advantageous if you live in a city, and vice versa. So don't shit on those habits or who you are right now. Accept them, love them, nurture them, and through nurturing them, you'll be able to alchemize them into something that you want them to be. But you have to first accept it and release the shame. Shame again. I feel like we've got to do that episode next, before you're able to transmute it into something that actually works for you. And it doesn't mean that you don't want to change it. You're not going to change it. We are. But it doesn't help when you try to hide it under the rug. It doesn't help when you try to put yourself down all the time for being that way or having that trait. It just doesn't help. You're better off loving yourself through that. Just like you would love a friend or a family member through something that they are going through, or maybe they have a trait that's just not as, something that is, they just have a trait that's not as, they have a trait that's harder to love, but you still love them anyway, and you love them through it as they grow through it. So by having self-awareness and self-acceptance, you can build trust in yourself to know what you want. And when you confidently know what you want and what you desire, you're more easily able to have that clarity to go in the direction that you really want to go to. And you're going to move a lot faster than when your energy is in multiple different areas, because you're looking to them to be your muse. You're looking over here for your guidance. You're looking over here to see who you should be and what you should do and meet these societal standards of your family or your friends or the internet, when really the only standards that matter are your standards. But if you don't even have a standard because you don't even know who you are, it's going to be kind of difficult to be able to meet that standard and know that code and know what you stand for and trust yourself to be able to make the decisions and create the life that you want to experience. I'm not going to lie, when I was first like getting ready to leave my job, I felt like shame and like it wasn't society standards for me to not work a 9 to 5. Like, oh, for me to just be lounging on a Monday, like, oh my God, oh wow, she's a terrible person. She's terrible. She's lazy. She's just the worst. And it's like, well, actually, no. Sometimes because of how I work and what I do, I might have events and things that are due Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I didn't even get to have a weekend. And Monday is just the day that happens to be where I'm resting. Or I'm just deciding that I want to rest. And, you know, when you think back on like how some of these things started, like, where did the 40-hour work week even come from? I'm just using an example because that's just the easy one that we all know. But where did that even come from? Like, who even said that for every single person in the world that 40 hours a week means that you are a productive member of society and you're not working that, then you're not. And that's just not true. I know what I want to experience in life, and what that is for me is following my intuition always, taking inspired action based off of the things that light me up, having fun, connecting people, creating things that bring me joy, and talking to people about these type of things. Like, I really love talking about mental health for creatives, and just even if you don't call yourself a creative, but creating the life that you want to experience. Because I feel like I grew up thinking that you couldn't really create your life, that you kind of were just handed some cards and you made the most with the hand that you were dealt, and what other people kind of saw fit based off of the hand you were dealt. And now I know that that's not true at all. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the hand you were dealt. You get to decide who you're going to be and what you're going to do and what that looks like for you in your life. And the only way that that starts is by getting clear on who you are and accepting who you are, and then moving from a position of power. If you stayed this long, please leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts right now about like what have you been creating in your life, or what have you recently discovered about yourself and what you want to experience in your life. Subscribe for more episodes of Muse Mode, and feel free to follow me on my other channels where I also talk about curating your life. Oh, and one other thing, I am actually working on a journal to help people be able to kind of go through this entire framework that I'm going to be going through in this entire series in book form, so that you guys don't have to just kind of get it from the video piece by piece, but you'll be able to get all the exercises and all the things that I did. Literally, this is coming from all of the exercises, all the practices, everything that I do daily in my routine to continue creating the life that I want to have. And so that is coming. She will be here next year, early next year, but yeah, I thought I would just tell you guys now because I'm excited. See you guys next time. Bye.